Welcome everyone to the open day and to the sport and exercise panel today. I'm Jennifer Williams and I work here in the Future Students team at Southern Cross University. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the lands of the Gumbaynggirr Nation today, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. We are here today to share some insights into studying at Southern Cross University. This is a 25-minute panel with about 5 to 10 minutes at the end to answer any questions that you may have. I'm joined by a fantastic panel today. I have here Dr. Kyle Bennett, a lecturer in sports and exercise science, PhD candidate Gurpreet Singh, and high performance manager Tom Frost. How are you going, guys? I just would like to get you to sort of introduce yourselves and tell us your connection to Southern Cross University. Kyle, would you like to start?
So I'm Kyle Bennett. I'm a lecturer in sport and exercise science. I lead up the campus here at Coffs Harbour. I predominantly teach across the 3 years of the degree. So my main interest is in skill acquisition and talent identification and development in youth sport.
Hi everyone, my name is Gurpreet Singh and I'm a current PhD candidate at Southern Cross University, and I actually started my undergraduate degree in sport and exercise science here many years ago, and loved it so much that I did an extra year in research in my honours year. I loved that so much, and here I'm still here doing a PhD. So that's my connection to Southern Cross University.
Cool. And my name's Tom Frost. I'm the Director of ACE Performance. We're a sporting performance company that are based out of the gym over here, and we manage the facilities as well. I also did the degree finished in 2012. So I'm a previous graduate of the Sport and Exercise Science degree and tutoring into the degree now as well.
Right, so could I start off with you, Kyle? Could you outline the degree options in the field and the differences between the undergraduate degrees?
Yeah, so we have 3 degree options in the field. So the first one is a Bachelor of Sport and Exercise Science. The second degree is a Bachelor of Exercise Science and Psychological Science, which is a double degree. And the third one is a Bachelor of Clinical Exercise Physiology. That's not currently on our campus at the moment, but we're hoping to have that in the near future. So that's currently offered at Lismore and Gold Coast. But we do have quite a diverse range of degree options.
That's great, thank you. And you've got some pretty sophisticated equipment and labs. Can you just tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so we have 2 laboratories. The first one is our Human Movement Lab. This is predominantly where we study how the body produces movement. It allows us to build really complex models of the body because, as you can imagine, it's quite complex. So we've got high motion capture systems and force plates. And then we've got our Human Performance Laboratory, so we can start to understand how we produce movement from a physiological point of view. We have some really highly important technology and systems that allow us to track maximal oxygen exposure and how we produce these movements really well.
That sounds great. So on the degree, is it important to be a sporty person? Are there physical requirements to do the degree, or is it more of a science-based course?
I think it's a nice blend. So we are a science degree. We study the science of how the body moves and then how we can improve performance. And we do have really practical classes as well. So it is nice to have a blend, but that doesn't necessarily dictate success. So you can be a really science-orientated person and succeed in the degree, and you can be a really practical person and succeed in the degree.
Thank you. And then just finally, what kind of jobs do people do once they graduate?
Yeah, so we have 3 kind of major pathways and then some sub-pathways that exist off the back of that. So our first one is an exercise scientist. So this is an exercise specialist that works predominantly in the gym industry. The second is clinical exercise physiologist, which works with our clinical population and using exercise to help with chronic conditions. And the third pathway is a sports scientist. And this requires a little bit of specialisation, but these are the individuals that go into our sporting teams and help to improve sports performance. Outside of that, one of the options that's emerging is a cardiac technician, which is those individuals that study how the heart works and starting to use exercise to help these individuals. So it is quite diverse. It is a degree that opens many doors. We don't necessarily have a single specialisation.
Fantastic. And then Gurpreet, what drew you to this field of study?
For me, I think I always loved sport. I played sport all my life growing up. Every day after school I'd be playing some sort of sport, and just got to a point where I just wanted to work in the sports sector or the sports industry. And I was lucky enough that my PTHPE teachers when I was in high school actually told me about this concept of a sports scientist and got me in touch with one down at an NRL club in Sydney, and I actually had a chat with them, and they got me really keen on the idea of this job, and that really got me interested in studying at Southern Cross University.
And what do you think you've enjoyed the most so far through your studies?
I guess definitely the opportunities. As Kyle mentioned before, we're applying the science to how our body moves in relation to exercise, and then being able to apply that in practice is, I think, really important. And being able to go on opportunities to do placements in, with elite clubs and with athletes there, it's really good to apply that knowledge. And it's really cool to see how we can improve someone's performance if we look at it athletically, if we look at it clinically, how we can improve someone's living outcomes. I think that's a really important part of the degree, and just a lot of the opportunities. There's so much out there that you can do with the degree.
And do you actually get to train with other students?
Yeah, definitely. Currently, I train with another student doing his PhD with me. So we do get to train. We also do, a strength and conditioning component of the degree where we're in class while we're learning about, different movements, how do we use certain equipment, using the science behind the strength and conditioning component, but we also get to, test out each other, and we do some workshops with other students, and we get to really practically apply that learning.
That's great. And so what would you give to anybody just starting out in the degree?
I guess just really there's always different pathways to go down to. You might have a career aspiration. You might start the degree and you might end up in a whole different career. I think it's really good to start making connections out there. If you have coaches, if you have friends that know coaches, even asking for some volunteering hours, that really helped me build those connections. And if you're really looking at getting those opportunities for me, it was trying to work in elite sport. Without knowing or having those contacts, it's very hard to actually, sometimes you're sometimes a bit scared to ask. So my biggest probably tips are, one, find connections, make connections, and don't be scared to ask questions to anyone. I've had so many opportunities in terms of just asking someone, hey, is it okay if I attend a training session today? So it's really good, and that'll be my big 2 tips.
That's great. Thank you so much. And Tom, could you just tell us a little bit about your career?
So I graduated in 2012 from the Sport and Exercise Science degree, and then I was lucky enough through my placement subject with SCU, I started with a company in Brisbane, and I ended up in a full-time role, which was really cool, right place, right time, and then was lucky enough to get a chance to go over to Papua New Guinea as their head of performance for the Olympic Committee over there. And from there, that turned into a sports science role with the high performance sport of Papua New Guinea. I came back then to live in Melbourne, and I worked for the company that I'm now an owner of, and I was looking after the 4 facilities down there that we have in Melbourne, and was working with the Melbourne Storm Pathways and a professional UFC fighter amongst a couple of other teams and organisations. And then now we're here in Coffs with our 3rd location. So we've got 2 locations in Melbourne, and this is the first time we've done it outside of a big city.
And what aspect would you say that you enjoy most about it, your career?
I chose the performance pathway. So working with high performers is fun because they're always looking to push themselves to get the most out of themselves. So I get the chance to try and turn the dials a little bit and help those people to steer themselves, but a lot of them are high performers, so it's just about managing their expectations a little bit and pushing them when they need a push. But I think that's my favourite part is just the type of people I get to work with.
And could you tell us what the difference is between strength and conditioning and personal training?
Okay, so strength and conditioning. We're degree qualified, so we've done the undergrad in the exercise science, and then further study is often outside required from Australian Strength and Conditioning Association as well. A PT can get those qualifications quite quickly. There are a lot of things that PTs do quite well, but I think that it comes down to the level of science that's applied to training, really, if I'm to keep it simple.
Thank you. And just finally, any advice that you'd give somebody starting out?
Yeah, I think GURP stole my answer to this one. It's connect early to industry. I think I don't like having regret, but one regret would be not connecting early enough and thinking that I'd just float by and not taking advantage of an early placement opportunity that we had as part of the degree. So connect early and start to see and get a feel if that's where you want to apply what it is that you're learning. Don't get caught up in learning without application. I think that would be my tip.
Yeah, that's good advice. Thank you. Kyle, can I just ask you another question, actually? If you complete the bachelor degree, are you then qualified to then become a PE teacher?
Yeah, so we do have a couple of pathways in the sport and exercise science degree, and these form majors. So we've got a strength conditioning and coaching major, which is one which goes down the pathway of what Tom's talking about in strength and conditioning. And then we do have a physical education major, which essentially fast tracks you to become a physical education teacher with some further study in our masters here that we offer at SCU.
And what about physio? Do many people go on to do physio?
They can. It's definitely a really good foundation that you form in exercise science because we study a lot of the same subjects. We do have physio coming to Southern Cross University in the near future. This degree does allow us to understand a lot more about how the body moves, and we do have students that have gone on to do further study and specialise in physiotherapy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, panellists, for sharing your insights into studying at Southern Cross University. I'd like to now turn to the audience to see if anyone has any questions.
I talked about the facilities here at Southern Cross. How do the facilities at Southern Cross, Coffs Harbour, relate to the technology and facilities that you might find as a practitioner in the public sector or private sector?
Directed to me.
Well, it depends how much you know about the facilities, but that's the connections there.
Okay, I'll take it. I guess from our perspective, the application of sports science is, I'd like to think of it as a spectrum somewhat. So to commercialise sports science really, especially in Australia, comes down to what the end user is willing to pay for. And just shake your head if you're not following what I'm trying to say here. But so in Australia, we're quite simple in what people are willing to purchase at the moment, and that's very generalised. But so we have a model whereby we will utilise the timing gates, so expensive timing gates for speed application. We use jump mats for jump and repeat jump and things like that we apply, and people are willing to pay for that stuff. But we're moving in the right direction. I think that we look to America as a country that's sort of leading the way in how much investment they have into sport and utilisation of this top-end exercise science stuff, and I think we're heading in the right direction with that.
Yeah, and to build on what Tom's saying, what we have in our laboratory is the gold standard. So, and this is standardised across Australia, depending on the universities, because we have a governing body that essentially is looking to make sure we are standardising the equipment we purchase. So the beauty of coming to Southern Cross University is that, one, we have slightly smaller cohorts, so you get to know the lecturers a lot more, get a lot more hands-on experience, but you get to know what the gold standard in the industry is and become familiar with that piece of equipment, which is really beneficial. And at a lot of bigger universities, you don't necessarily get that experience where you're hands-on and constantly doing things.
That's great, thank you. And if there's no further questions, I'd just like to say thank you so much. These guys will be hanging around for 10 to 15 minutes after the session if you've got any questions you want to ask them one-on-one. Also, if you'd like to apply today or any advice on how to apply, you can speak to our student services who are just in the front room as you come in near the entrance. And we look forward to welcoming you at Southern Cross University. Thank you.